Give me a D and a G. It's the Dunga Show. It's the Dunga Show.
Hey, dog, your beard's looking flickin' great, my man.
Thanks, Gus. I've been using the Bush Beard Wash.
The what now?
At Bush Beard, they know that every man with a beard is a unique beardo. And that's why they offer a wide range of products to cater to every beard's needs. Whether you have a long and luscious mane or prefer to keep it short and sharp, their products will help you achieve that perfect look.
From the nourishing beard oil and balm to the refreshing beard wash, their products are made with all-natural local ingredients to keep that beard healthy, soft, and lustrous. The beard comb and brush are designed to detangle and shape your beard, making sure you always look your best.
At Bush Beard, they're dedicated to providing the best possible grooming experience for all the beardos out there. So why settle for an average beard when you can have a glorious, well-groomed one? Try Bush Beard products today and unleash the full potential of your beard.
Be sure to use Dog and Gus 10 and get 10% off your order.
Bush Beard, the small town brand with the big old Canadian heart. Welcome to the Dog and Gus Show, now on Whitewater Rocks Radio.
Did you almost mess it up?
No, why do you keep asking me that?
I don't know, because I always want to think that you're going to mess it up. What do we got going on?
Today we've got Kingston-based band, The Wilderness. Very excited.
What's up, guys?
Hello. How goes it?
It goes. It goes. Thanks for joining us and spending some time with us. We're big fans of yours, so this is amazing for us.
Thank you very much. My dog is about to destroy this entire studio with his legs, so Henry's just sorting that out. But yeah, thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
No, all dogs are welcome.
Oh, doggy. So tell us a bit about the nucleus. Like, how did everybody meet, and where did you form, and where do you come from?
Almost a decade ago now. It was January 2015. We were all living in Kingston for one reason or another. Most of the guys were here for school. Some of us just ended up here. And I was working at this open mic at this bar in town called Musiki. And Hank and Carl and our guitar player at the time, Sasha, came in. I knew them from like around. And nobody else came in that night because it was a crazy snowstorm outside. So we ended up just kind of shooting the shit and playing together. And then we were like, okay, we should start a band. Well, that was mostly me. I kind of like begged them to start a band. And then we did the next day, and that was it.
Good to take your time getting it together.
Yeah. Sink or swim.
Yeah, seriously.
I was so desperate.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to get to play music, do your own music, probably like your desperation for getting that art out. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and and just to have friends.
Well, that's important too.
Are you originally from Kingston?
No, I'm from the UK.
Really? You figure that out by his Kingston accent?
I wanted him to tell me that.
Uh-huh.
I knew that it wasn't a Kingston accent, dog.
I don't know if Kingston has accents.
No, they're just more like twangy than Ottawa, I would suspect. But they're all valley kind of sounding, no?
I don't know.
I could ask the other two guys. Are you guys from Kingston?
We're from Vermont, literally both of us.
Yeah, we're.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I was in Vermont last year in Stowe, just doing a little snowboarding.
Yeah, I live 15 minutes outside, or I guess my parents live 15 minutes outside of Stowe, little town called Elmore.
Oh, amazing. We went to this, there was like this cider.
Okay, hang on. Be very careful about which cidery you're talking about.
True that. I know that it's
If
very
it was
thing.
Stowe cider, we don't want to have anything to do with that conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that I think it was, but we went there and there was like live music.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
Full Dr. Dre show covered.
No, they were bluesy. They were actually bluesy. It was like a girl and a couple guys that were like very trumpets, like very cool. Like it was very cool. No hate, I had no hating on the Stowe cidery, all right, or whatever it is called. Like
None whatsoever from us either.
Right. So that was a great podcast.
Well, we had a good time, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah. So basically, you formed in Kingston, but there's no Kingston ties, really, right?
I mean,
We've all been living here for like a decade. our guitarist Max is originally from Kingston. And it's like we've got a peripheral like bassist that we work with who's also from Kingston. And, just having been in the scene for so long, we're all pretty well adjusted at this point.
Makes sense. Yeah. Who's your favorite like Kingston band other than yourself?
For me, it's a band called the Coders.
Okay. Okay, I'm in charge now. Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, I would probably also have to go with the Codas. We've been doing a bunch of shows with them lately, and they're killer.
Okay, well, I will give you
You need
a
an
different
original
answer. I also really like the Coders. They're really cool. But I don't know if these guys actually even still count as a Kingston band. But there used to be a band in Kingston called Lost Cousins. I don't even know if they're still like a thing anymore. But they are just incredible. And just the album they put out last year, particularly, like so good.
That's awesome. Yeah. Some names that we'll write down just because we know the Codas, but I was interested in that one. So
Yeah, the Codas.
yeah.
I think you were fishing for bigger names, but they.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, you were.
No.
Yeah, you sure were.
Well, my obsession with Tragically Hip is one thing, but
Yeah,
that's a different discussion.
And I was going to make a big joke about something in the water down in Kingston because of the bands that have come out of there, and none of you guys are from Kingston, so it kind of blew that joke out. So scratch it off the list.
Carrying on.
Yeah. Well, because I was going to say like the Hip, Bedouin Soundclash. I mean, you know, bands like that.
The
and
Wilderness.
The Wilderness. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey,
Yeah.
I just put you in elite company.
Got
there.
you, except for they don't like Stowe cidery, but other than that, we're.
They don't like us.
they don't like us.
We didn't start this week.
Yeah.
We were actually big fans of Stowe cider for a long time.
I don't.
I have a few cans still in my fridge that I'm not touching out of principle, even though I really want to drink it.
Well, stand on your principles. The only thing I remember going to Stowe was waffles.
Oh, up at the top of the gondola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good waffles.
So
good,
that was
good skiing, bro.
Waffles were better.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. I don't know if
I'm not much of
I
a-
could agree with that one.
Not much of a skier, so
Yeah.
I enjoyed the waffles more. All right.
Give him something, man.
Are we done?
No.
Oh. So how's the touring been, guys? You guys been all over the place, like indoor venues, outdoor venues. I saw a post about your Picton show,
Yeah. So
talking about all the bugs you ate.
Yeah, we did a pretty big tour after the release of the album, which kind of was across all of North America. So we went out west in Canada and then came back through the States, and we've been playing a lot more kind of local Southern Ontario shows this summer, just, you know, taking a little bit of a break from the road and recharging a little bit. So we got plans to tour later this winter and into next year, but right now keeping it a little bit more local and just getting some well-deserved time at home.
Yeah, the focus right now isn't on live shows for us. It's on like A, getting the studio like at 100%, and B, starting to work on material.
Very cool. Yeah. Where is the studio? Someone's house?
It's in Inverary, which is just north of Kingston. We found it on Kijiji about a year or so ago, and it was kind of falling apart. And the lady who owned the place said, "Yeah, sure, you guys want to rent this place from me? You can do whatever you want to it and turn it into a studio." And we put a lot of work, and it's been an ongoing process since like August of last year. We put a lot of work into it, and we're still putting a lot of work into it. Max, our guitar player, lives upstairs. He moved in December, but it's kind of like studio first, and then Max's room as an addition kind of thing. Like every room in this house is kind of utilized for music in one way or another, and it's a pretty small house, and we packed a lot into a very small space.
That's cool. It's kind of really rock and roll, really. I mean, because you're creating music in a place that was sort of dingy, and you're bringing it back to life. I think that's very cool.
Thank you. It's been a very fun experience and a steep learning curve too, because when you're trying to renovate an old house that was built who knows how long ago, and you have no experience with renovations or power tools whatsoever, you run into some interesting things. Like, for example, the fuse box here isn't like a regular breaker box. It's like got these glass fuses in, and I changed one the other day, and it literally exploded in my face. And I was like, "Well, that was the wrong fuse, I guess." Yesterday, we had to change one of the light bulbs in one of the other rooms. Which, how many musicians does it take to change a light bulb? Well, apparently 3. Because in doing so, the light fixture fell out of the ceiling. And there were all these exposed wires hanging out. And instead of just shutting off the breaker to that room, I was like, I don't know which glass fuse does what. I'm shutting off the power to the whole fucking house because I don't want to risk getting electrocuted here. And we try to like reattach it to the ceiling in the pitch black. So, we're figuring it out.
Yeah. Can you send us your address so I can send you a flashlight, or maybe we'll show you how to use it on your phone? Because that's a fuse boxes. I had that similar situation at my place, but we've changed it over since. But it was a shit show anytime we go down there trying to figure out which one's which. But turning the master switch off was a good call, by the way.
It feels pretty cool doing it because it's like a big I feel like I have the power of a ship or something.
That's right.
We're gonna get him a flashlight and a power and a generator.
Yeah, we'll send that in the mail.
Yeah, please send us a generator.
We'll just mail you one.
Yeah. They're small.
Yeah,
small one.
I have the same issue with my place. I live in a building that's over 100 years old, so all my fuses are the same. I don't touch them. That's what I have a landlord for.
That's true. Yeah. Although this one, I think in their situation, she's not.
No, she's not very helpful. Sounds.
No, she's giving you carte blanche, right?
Carte blanche, indeed. Yeah, she's pretty hands off, which in many ways is great.
Yeah, that's kind of what you want, right? Now, are you guys recording in the studio as well, or is this just for practice?
That's the plan. We've had a bunch of local bands come out and record here. Like, it really kind of got off the ground after we got back from tour.
Mm-hmm.
We've wanted to open our doors to bands and musicians in the local area and beyond. And so far, we've actually been quite busy over the last couple of weeks, which is awesome. The benefit for us is that we got a place to rehearse, and all of our stuff can stay set up. And if we want to go and play drums and hit record, everything's good to go all the time. We have places to keep all of our merch, all of our instruments. We essentially have a place to practice and record that doesn't cost us really anything other than the general maintenance of this place. But really what we wanted to do is kind of open a studio and open our doors to the wider music scene. And we're not going to beat around the bush and pretend that we're Abbey Road. Like, we're far from it. But it's a cool vibe. We're in the country. It feels Henry and I were working here last night until about midnight, cleaning a few things up and building a few things. And we were talking about how it kind of feels like when you're here, it's like recording an album in your grandma's living room. We're trying to make it feel comfortable and homey and kind of a cool vibe. So what we might not have in terms of like acoustic perfection, we've got a really cool space that, I mean, I want to be here a lot of the time, so hopefully other people do too.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I was going to go on that and say, does your writing change and the sound, because of the sound of that room, would be different than traditional studios that you've probably worked in? Would that change the way you write your music? Would it make the sound different? Would you kind of get inspired differently?
Yes and no. It's not necessarily the sound of the room that affects the way we go about writing. I think it's more having access to the space and kind of the general vibe of the place. Like, the last record we put out was written mostly at another property we had rented that we'd turned into a studio. And kind of the main advantage we had there was we had a place that we could go and spend a lot of time on these songs and like really dig deep with them. Like, when we recorded our first album, we didn't have that luxury. We kind of just went into the studio and kind of threw everything at the wall and saw what stuck. Whereas this time we had, months and months of going over these songs and being able to really like take a fine-tooth comb to them. So the advantage of having a room like this is that we can kind of continue to do that process and Jonas was saying, having it feel like someone's living room and feel really comfortable, that definitely affects the writing, because it just makes it easier to let ideas flow and get inspired, and have the time to really dig into these songs and kind of make them exactly what we want them to be.
Well, it sounds like there's less stress too, right? You're not like, oh my God, we're in the studio, we've got 2 hours to pump out whatever we need to do. Let's get it done. And you tend to rush, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have to deal with the stress of finding a place to write and rehearse. Like, that was always a struggle for us, is just, okay, we can maybe get into a rehearsal space for 3 hours, but the songwriting process can take an infinite amount of time, and you kind of need to be able to sit for hours and hours and hours with something. Or, like some of the songs on the last record, they started being written at midnight because everyone was just hanging out at the studio and someone had an idea. Having time is one of the greatest luxuries that the studio is giving our writing, at least.
And also, if we, like, in the process of writing an album, like, you have to record your demos. In the past, we've had to go pay to do that. Now we've just got everything we need right here. Yeah.
Well, it streamlines it a lot, and also, like you said, is fiscally better too. Like, I mean, that's the keys, especially as a musician. Like, the one challenge you always come up with is money, and finding it, and using it for what studio time and whatever else equipment that you need to, right? So
that was always the biggest thing for us, was like, the two biggest enemies that we encountered trying to do this band was we never had enough money, and we never had enough time. And without enough time, you can't make enough money, and without enough money, you can't make the time. And we struggled with that for a really long time, because we all work other jobs, and we all have lives outside of the band. And before COVID, we were like 10 toes down the entire time, which was great. And then for some reason, like after COVID, it became really difficult to carve out the time that was necessary to do this, because I don't know, we were all like scrambling, getting back to work, and trying to get back to a somewhat regular life. And during the time when we were in lockdown and so on, we couldn't do a lot of the band stuff. So a lot of the space and the time that the band stuff took in our lives was kind of replaced by other things. Like, I remember when lockdown ended, I was working like 1,000,000 hours at the bar, and I was like, hang on, this is my part-time job. Why am I here like 60 hours a week? I don't want to be here 60 hours a week. So it took a while to like kind of carve out the time for the band again, the creative thing again. And we were always running into this thing of like, oh man, like our lives are so hectic, and there's 6 of us. It's so hard to get all of us in one place at the same time. And when we are there, it's like Liam was saying, oh shit, we've got 3 hours to get so much stuff done. Like, there's so much stuff that needs to get done in this band, not just on the creative side either, but from like the administrative side. We don't have a record label or a booking agent. Like, we do everything in house, just ourselves and like a small team, so having a space where we can do all of the creative stuff and all of the administrative stuff, and like, not all 6 of us don't necessarily have to be here all day every day to get some of that stuff done, but like having a studio has kind of become like our home base, and it's allowed us to like push this band forward like tenfold. It's pretty crazy, but like having a roof over this band's sort of head has like drastically changed the way that we were able to get work done.
totally makes sense.
So when you guys, when you tour, how's I was always wondering about the process. Like, okay, we want to tour Western Canada.
Liam is the tour booking, organizing guru. I'm going to pass it off to him.
Ask me about touring.
All right. So now, okay, Liam decides we want to do Western Canada. How are you choosing the venues? How are you choosing the cities?
The cities, at least for Western Canada, is generally the easier part, because of how vast Canada is and how few major cities there are. Routing wise, like, it's usually pretty straightforward, because you want to go in a straight line as much as possible. You don't want to backtrack. So you kind of or at least over the course of the tours we've done, I've kind of figured out, okay, it's pretty much going to be like Winnipeg will be this Thursday, Regina will be this Friday, Saskatoon will be this Saturday, to use an example. So you pull out the spreadsheet, you put all the dates in, and then start punching in cities, finding where the gaps are. And then when it comes to actually picking the venues, it's just kind of a lot of labor, basically. So pick a city like Vancouver, for example, go on Google, find every live music venue listed on Google for the city of Vancouver. And then you got to start going through and kind of like looking, okay, this place is, the Commodore Theater or whatever. We're not a big enough band to play that, so don't have to go through that. And then you start going through the little venues and be like, all right, this bar has live music, but I go through their pictures and it's two dudes with an acoustic guitar in a corner. That's not going to be suitable for us. And then, yeah, you just kind of track down their booking information and you send a lot of emails and you hope and pray you get responses. And I mean, it gets easier the more you do it too, because at least for us, we've toured Western Canada 3 times at this point. So a lot of the venues we've been repeat customers at, so we already have relationships with the bookers there. They know who we are. So instead of being like, I send 30 emails to venues in Vancouver, hoping I hear back in the next 2 weeks, I can email one guy and know I'll hear back within a day or two, and he'll be able to set up a show for us. It's a lot of spreadsheets, it's a lot of staring at Google Maps, and it's a lot of guessing how much pain I can put everyone through between driving and playing shows, essentially.
Yeah, it was always now when you guys when you tour, say with Canada, are you guys all in an RV together, or is it like a couple of cars or a van, or?
Precisely.
Yeah, we've done a bit of both. This last tour, our main sound tech luckily purchased an RV specifically for touring with bands, and it was a life of absolute luxury because we just all had bunks. We could rack out whenever we wanted. There was like a living space for everyone to hang out in. Previously, we've usually done van tours, which are good because they're safe and we have seatbelts at all times. Not that we would ever travel without wearing seatbelts because we don't break the law. But it's definitely a lot tighter space, and everyone's kind of on top of each other, and that's less enjoyable than the RV is.
I would also add that, like, Jeff getting this RV, Brambles, that's an XLR cable. Sorry, my dog was chomping on a cable. Hey, that's enough. Jeff getting this RV was such a godsend because, like Liam said, it was luxury. It's luxury for us, I think. I think most people would look at the way we traveled and think that it was absolute squalor, which in many ways it was. We were on that RV for just shy of 7 weeks, and we slept in hotels twice. One time a venue paid for it, and the other time we were just so done we needed to sleep in a hotel. But that was
proper shower and all that too. Yeah,
that was a lot of nights of us. I can't do the math, but almost 7 weeks, 6 weeks of sleeping in an RV every single night with 8 people in there.
Yeah,
and this is no disrespect to Jeff. He loves that RV more than he loves anything, I'm pretty sure. But this isn't a tour bus, like imagine a 1997 big old Ford RV. That was what we were traveling in. It was amazing, and I loved every second of it. And it was luxury compared to what we're used to in the tours that we've done. But boy, howdy, were we living in filth.
Yeah, and also, if I may just describe the bunking situation.
I was more hoping to hear the smell of the smell more than anything.
You can probably imagine the smell.
Yeah, I just did right as you were talking.
Yeah, feet.
Yep. Feet. That's the one that came to mind was feet. Because you guys because you sweat a lot when you're playing too, right? So
you get to shower maybe once every 3 days.
Yeah, it's probably pretty gnarly.
We were staying in a lot of KOA campgrounds. You get to shower then. Sometimes the venue has a shower, usually not. Sometimes you get to stay at a friend's house. We got a couple like friends of the band along the circuit that will put us up in some spots out of the goodness of their hearts. Shout out to Josie and Gary in particular. But the bunking situation in the van, like there are 6 bunk beds in the back of this RV behind the bathroom.
Behind it, perfect.
Behind the bathroom.
Yeah.
Homemade too. They're all like they're not like they're like the RV didn't come with these bunks. Jeff made them out of 2x2s.
They are
Yeah,
made out of
yeah.
they're made out of pieces of untreated wood.
Yeah.
The bunk that I had in particular, and also that Jonas had to a slightly lesser extent, were without exaggeration, like probably like coffin sized, if not smaller. Like, so you'd wake up, it would be 30 something degrees, and there'd be a piece of wood like this far from your face.
Oh, it sounds awesome. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. That sounds great.
I do want to emphasize that Jonas and Henry were the first 2 on the bus and picked their bunks before any. Okay, fine, Matt. These 2 and 3 picking bunks.
I'm just gonna add that Liam would say that because his fucking bunk was a palace like I've never seen. He had a fucking football field like worth of real estate. I like took a peek behind the curtain one day and I was like, my brother in Christ, you've got like a jacuzzi up there, like a fucking champagne bar. Yeah,
Full pantry.
Yeah. Okay.
They're actually not kidding about the full pantry. I'd have like a full set of snacks.
like a giant box of like Doritos and shit. Like,
Well, nice. Well, you could rate it at least, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Thing is, I also will add that Henry and I did choose the bottom bunks out of necessity and also out of the fact that the bottom bunk is the best for the suspension on that vehicle. If you're on the top, you're bouncing around.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
I also thought personally that having like the bottom bunks, I thought they would be like less of a heat trap because there were no windows letting light in, but it actually was completely the opposite situation.
That's true because you'd think heat goes up, right?
My bunk also had a window that I could open.
Oh. Saucy.
All these things you have to consider while touring, right?
Yeah.
Luxury. Yeah. I have a question about driving with somebody. Now, do you guys have who controls the music in the RV?
Co-pilot usually.
Right.
But the driver has veto powers.
Of course.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
See?
Yeah, veto powers as opposed to playing 15 seconds of a song.
Well, it depends on the song.
Anyway, we have this issue when we drive together that Gus doesn't like to listen to a whole song.
Unless it's the Wilderness Strangers I Used to Love album.
Hey.
Okay. Ooh.
What's your favorite song on the album and why?
On the album. I guess I'll go first. I would
You can say your favorite song all time after too if you want.
My favorite
but-
song of all time is Chacarone Macarone.
Nice.
Hands down, bar none.
Chacarone Macarone.
On the album, I would say probably Highway 1 or Words Get in the Way. Yeah, that last chorus of Highway 1 always gets me.
Yes, I honestly second that. Probably, I also think Garden of England is a banger. And it's like a bit of a departure from like the kind of like really energetic rock that a lot of the rest of the album is. So that's kind of a cool change of pace. Favorite song of all time, and everybody just loves Chacarone Macarone. Like it's just I can't say enough about it. Look it up if you haven't heard it.
I have to. Can you write that down, Doc?
I don't know how to write that down.
Chacarone Macarone.
I'm not sure how to spell it.
I think I kind of go back and forth about what my favorite song is on the record. And for a while, like each song that we worked on, like as we were recording them with Steve, was like, oh, nah, this one's my favorite. Oh, no, this one's my favorite. Now it's been a couple months. I think my favorite's probably Words Get in the Way.
There he is.
This is Brambles.
Brambles.
The Brambulator.
Yeah.
He's cute.
Want to give a sniff? Oh, you can give it a look. Yeah, I think my favorite's probably Words Get in the Way or Honestly, maybe unpopular opinion, but Hold Back the Daybreak. I really enjoy that one. I really like playing that one. That one's a lot of fun. And then my favorite song of all time, I think I'm probably gonna have to say Chacarone Macarone.
This is ridiculous.
I hate that song, man. Like Henry.
Can you spell it for us?
I don't know how to spell that.
On tour, Hank made the most unhinged.
Can you send it to us, please?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god.
DM the Spotify playlist, please.
It's maybe the playlist should have been illegal. Honestly, it was the most unhinged.
I can't wait to listen
The
to the
playlist only gives. The playlist just exists.
The playlist giveth, and it continued to giveth. It is the ultimate.
It
Oh,
took
please-
it
please
took
share
it
it.
away
Please
a
share
lot
it
of
to the
my
DM.
sanity, to be honest.
I
But
think that would be part of it. Like shacking up with a bunch of guys for 6 or 7 weeks, doing a tour, obviously doing what you love, but I would suspect that you need some comedy relief in there too at times, right? Within the music would be part of it, right?
oh, that was a big part of it.
I think it's more that we all just go insane after a while and just devolve into like this weird hive mind of fart jokes and
Yes.
Chacarone Macarone.
The playlist, though, is I want to say like it's absolutely insanity, like manifest. Like it's
Brambles.
Brambles. Yeah, basically like an indication of like the fragile mental state of this group while on tour.
Yeah, that's awesome.
1 minute we'd be listening to like, I don't know, ABBA,
Woo! Oh yes,
and then the next song would be Limp Bizkit.
that
Or,
sounds like me.
It was
Followed by the Pokemon theme song.
Yeah.
but they might actually listen to the
No,
whole
I
song.
listen to the whole song if I'm in the mood. It's a mood.
and Chacarone
Um,
Macaron was played so many times I started hearing it in my sleep.
This the playlist, for context, contains 12 versions of the song Chacarone Macarone.
Oh shit! Okay, perfect.
Well, you got to have the extended remix, right?
Oh man,
And
that's
then-
You
great.
gotta have every remix.
Exactly.
As you can imagine.
My favorite song is "Turn It Around." Just so you guys know, on the album.
Awesome.
I was liking that tune.
So thank you. We love that song. Touring bassist Joe, he claims that it's the weakest song on the album, so we'll let him know that he's bullshit.
Well, I think it just speaks to
Suck
me a
it,
bit
Joe.
different, Yeah.
Yeah, Joe.
May I ask, the end of Highway 1, is that Highway 1 or is it part 1 of a 2-song series?
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we have never considered that. And now we can, and we can be
You can
all
use it, baby.
elusive about
Yeah.
it. Okay, yeah, no, dump that. No, it is about the Trans Canada Highway, Highway 1. But now that you mention that, it's the end of
Well, you could always use it if you
Yeah.
need to down the line.
end of Highway 2 is what is that, Gananoque? Yeah.
Great spot.
Yeah.
Great spot. Yeah, no, I was interested because I was like looking at it going, that's a good question. So, yeah. Did like life experience kind of bring upon all these tracks? Like some of them are obviously Garden of England. I don't want to assume that it's because you're from the UK, but maybe that had part of it, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, literally
I'm here to point out the obvious, bro.
Yeah, Captain.
Yeah.
every single track on the album is like a personal song about an experience or a person or a group of those things. We wrote about 30 songs for the record and we whittled it down to 10, and we went with the 10 songs that we thought were the best. Nick put it really well. Like every single song on the record is kind of like a snapshot at like a time or a place or a person in your life that no longer exists. So
Nick is our saxophone player for context.
man, we really need to get the other fucking microphones working. This is annoying. Anyway, but yeah, every single song is kind of like about a former relationship or a friend or a time in your life that doesn't exist anymore, a person in your life that doesn't exist anymore. Like, and we try to sort of like sum up the whole album at this, strangers you used to love. Each song is kind of one of those strangers, whether that's like yourself or a friend or whatever.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So the writing process, it's all you guys together writing, or is it
Collaborative.
that's
Yeah.
a good word, yeah.
This record in particular, it was very, very collaborative. There isn't a single song that didn't get the sort of six of us treatment. In the past, I would write a song at home or whatever, or I'd go off into a corner and write a song, and then I'd bring it to the band and be like, what do you guys think? And then we'd go from there. But when we had our spot on Howe Island, we were there nonstop, and we would all, sometimes we'd work until like 4 a.m. on an idea, and the six of us would be like working away. And actually on the album, there's in Hold Back the Daybreak, there's like a little like 6-bar break between like the last chorus and the outro, and in that 6-bar break, there's some like guitar feedback, but there's also the audio note that I got, voice note that I captured on my phone of us finally figuring out what the missing line was, because we had the chorus down and we were like, we can't figure out like what's the tagline, what's the thesis of the song, and we were like, I was recording a voice memo and we were like, oh, what about Hold Back the Daybreak? And we were like, yes, yeah, that's fucking it, and we put that in the mix of the song. So like it was a very collaborative experience. Like every single song on the record was all six of us banging our heads against the wall until we had what we thought was like the perfect song, kind of thing.
It's fantastic.
Anybody, I don't want to start dissension in the band, but has anybody dug in their heels over a certain song and said, yeah, I'm not feeling this?
Oh yeah, I mean that happens all the time. Like we've had songs that we've rehearsed a bunch of times that have never seen the light of day because people just aren't feeling it. And it's like you can't really convince people to, give a fuck about a song that they don't give a fuck about. Like if it's not working, it's not working. And one of the things that I've always said is that once the song is written and like I present it to the band, or whoever presents it to the band, or we write it together, it's like it's no longer your song. Like I've written songs before at home and I've taken them to the band and they become full songs, but they're not my songs anymore. They're the band's songs. So if the band isn't feeling it, that's fine. It's like it's not a personal insult if someone doesn't like one of the songs I've written. It's actually a good thing, I think, in many ways, because it kind of if everyone was like yes manning each other all the time, I think we'd come out with a bunch of bullshit, and we've put out a bunch of bullshit before, over the years.
Yeah, I don't think that it benefits anybody if you have someone who's going to just say yes all the time, when you know that there's really talented people that you're working with that can give some really great insight that would benefit the song, I would suspect.
Totally. And that's one of the best things about being in a band, is the collaboration. That's one of the things I love about it the most,
Yeah. Where are your musical influences?
Mm-hmm.
For me, Bruce Springsteen.
Really?
Just huge Springsteen fan.
Amazing.
I would say that
I wasn't pegging you at something, but I just find that interesting.
Really?
Are you profiling?
I was profiling.
Oh,
I
my
apologize.
goodness.
Wow.
You thought he was going to say something from the UK.
No. I thought something a little bit punkier, but go on.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
He really talks a lot about Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Well, he's the boss.
We once wrote a song called Springsteen Songs, many years ago. I think that musically, we are taking a lot from that sort of classic rock thing and a lot of Americana sort of stuff. What we listen to is all over the place. So I think the band has been listening to a lot more synth-based stuff recently. I'm going to take the opportunity. I don't know if everybody who's watching this podcast is seeing the video feed, but Liam and I are coincidentally both wearing our Green Day shirts today.
Yeah, I noticed. Yeah.
That is not on purpose. But
big fans.
We the first band I loved as a child was Green Day, and I'm sure that basically everybody in the band had a pop punk phase and the period of loving that, and maybe a bit of the old emo as well. I think that
sure.
We take a lot of instrumental influence from that sort of harder rock, and personally, like I try to play drums like a couple like drummers in particular, but Stuart Copeland is my biggest influence. And yeah, I'll pass.
Yeah, I think another big influence on the band or group that we take a lot from is a group like the Killers. Obviously, we a lot of our songs have these really big hooky choruses and very prominent synth sounds and kind of like a little bit futuristic, but still very nostalgic at the same time. I think that's kind of if I was to sum up like what our sound is in 2 words, it'd be kind of very modern but very nostalgic at the same time. And for me personally, like I started playing keyboard with this band, so I don't really have I don't really have much of a technical background in playing piano or organ or anything. I just kind of figured out what I needed to play with these guys. So my kind of area of expertise is more in like sound design and working synthesizers. So to that end, the group Henry mentioned earlier, Lost Cousins, had a huge influence on me. Just the way that they can make these kind of really, really lush sonic textures with a bunch of keyboards. And then another group that I really, really like is called The Midnight, and they're very like it's like modern 80s synth pop.
Synthwave.
It's
synthwave.
Yeah, it's synthwave with like very kind of like pop production vocals, and that same kind of like really heavy nostalgia. Like most of their songs sound like a summer night from high school when you're just running around with your buddies or whatever.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Going to take you back to the beginning of the band, 10 years ago, you said? Were you guys writing your own material then, or were you doing covers when you first started?
We had our own material from like day one. I had a bunch of pretty terrible songs that I'd written, and we'd always kind of set out to be an original band. So, our first ever rehearsal, we were just kind of trying to figure out a bunch of original songs that I'd written and our bass player at the time, Carl, had written. And we definitely did do a bunch of covers. Like, we kind of cut our teeth as a live band doing like the cover band circuit. We'd like drive up and down the 401 3 nights a week for about 2 years, and it sucked, playing some of the worst places imaginable playing songs to some of the worst people you could possibly hope to play in front of. And we did this every weekend, 3 weekends a week for like, $600 a night for about 2 years. And we'd try and play the covers and put our own songs in there, and we'd watch the dance floor just empty the second we played one of our own songs. But we also had this really awesome residency at this bar in Kingston that doesn't exist anymore, called the Brooklyn, and we'd play there on Friday nights for probably like in 2019 or 2018, 2019 we started it, and we'd play for 3 hours every night, and it became like a really popular thing that you'd go to the Brooklyn to see the Wilderness on a Friday night, and we would play about 50-50 covers and originals, and it kind of, I don't want to say it was like a cult following, but the Brooklyn was one of those bars that people went there on certain nights of the week because they had a thing and it was like the thing to do. So on Tuesdays, people would go there because they had this thing called Mod Night or whatever. Wednesday was karaoke, and Friday was the Wilderness. So we developed like a huge sort of Queens, local Kingston fan base for just being that band who just would not go away. But we did about 50-50 covers and originals at that point. The main focus was always to be an original band, and for a long time we played covers just kind of out of necessity. But our first show we ever did, we played all original material.
Yeah, that's. I think that would have given you some confidence too to get the Brooklyn and have people enjoying your music and probably give you a bit more, giving you a little bit more feedback as opposed to just playing to it almost a dead audience almost, right?
Totally. And those cover gigs were so soul destroying, man. Like we'd drive to Mississauga or Brampton or Oshawa or Whitby or London and this was like every weekend for 2 years, and we would play for $600 a night, and no matter what we did, it felt like we were kind of like beating a dead horse because we didn't really give a shit about being a cover band, and you could tell that we tried our best, but kind of didn't really want to be there, and it was pretty soul destroying because some nights like you'd be doing everything in your power you could, like we'd be pulling out all the stops and playing all of like the covers that you would have thought like would have connected with an audience, but sometimes they're just like, we should just have a fucking DJ on.
Yeah.
Well, even as a DJ, you can't please everybody, so I can just see that. Yeah, why do you play this song? Because it's crap. That's why I won't play it.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
Yeah, I played it while you were outside having a smoke.
Freebird, man.
Yeah.
What do you guys like to do in your free time other than make music?
I spend most of my free time in the woods with my dogs, and then that's basically the only other thing I like to do other than music.
I play video games and I play Warhammer.
Nice.
I'm a gigantic nerd, and I do like linguistics stuff to not get too specific and out myself.
Fair enough.
Uh-huh.
Warhammer is like they call it the gray zone or something like that, where they have a whole bunch of extra soldiers that are sitting around ready to be painted.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No, that's why you had to explain it to
Call
me.
that my pile of shame.
Yeah. What is it called though? It's like the gray area, or the gray zone, or something like that, because they're all gray, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard that specific thing, but it's just basically once you build the models and you haven't actually painted them, they're just like little gray figurines, and it's kind of I don't know.
I think
Seems
Henry
like being a bit of a poser.
Henry Cavill does it, so that's where I got that from.
Okay. I have no idea.
Who you wouldn't think is like a guy that, and no offense,
He's a big geek too.
Warhammer, you know what I mean? Like, but he said he's been doing it since like the late 80s.
Everyone who's into Warhammer is very handsome. Just look at
It's
this.
just how it happens.
Stunning, great beard. He's got it going on over there.
Yeah.
Actually didn't look like this till I started playing Warhammer.
It changes a man,
Yeah, he feels like he's in real war.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, brings out the best, the manliestness of someone.
Manliness.
That's a word.
Yeah. Okay. I believe you. So how's it? Are you guys? You said you're working on a new album. How's that coming along, gents?
We haven't really started working on a new album specifically.
released.
I think it's more that we've kind of started floating some ideas about how we want to approach the new album, and we definitely want to get back after writing songs as soon as possible, because momentum's a very big thing for our band, and it takes a while to write music. But we did just put the album out like 3-4 months ago. Yeah, so there's still a lot of legs left in Strangers. So we're not specifically writing yet, but we're floating ideas and hoping to start jamming some things out soon.
Nice.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is a pretty new album.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. But I just figured that the process was continuous, and
I think, mentally, I'm sure they always are writing in their heads and stuff. So it's kind of what it goes. They seem prolific too. Like put out quite a bit of music. What would you describe your style of music as?
Like
Warhammer.
yeah,
Warhammer.
Rock Hammer.
Rockhammer. Yeah, it's Rockhammer. It's loud, generally nostalgic, modern rock with synthesizers and saxophone. Yeah.
Very good.
Modern classic rock.
there you go.
Yeah, but without the Credence shit.
Yeah,
No credence.
less hokey.
I like CCR too, man. I don't know.
Did they just call Creedence hokey?
They did.
No. I don't think that. I think they were separate. It was separately said. Like Credence was one and Hokey was the other.
Oh.
So I don't think that they had anything to do with each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
CCR was not like, I wouldn't say they were hokey, that's for sure.
I think maybe the association with CCR now is not necessarily with the band, but with
The dude.
with like people who play like cover gigs. at specific rib fests in southeastern Ontario, and have never heard of a metronome in their lives.
That's very niche.
We're throwing a lot of shade on this podcast, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
really angry, bitter people. Yeah.
come on, you guys watch The Big Lebowski, right? He talks about Creedence. You know, he loves Creedence. You know, he gets. I know. I'm just. I don't know.
Nickelback, love Nickelback too. Honestly, genuinely love Nickelback. Anybody who hates on Nickelback is wrong.
Fair enough.
It's been said.
I mean, I don't like them, but that's
Well,
me.
you're wrong. I don't.
You're wrong,
Yeah,
and we're done.
Yeah, get out of here. Look
I
at
will
this photo.
defend Chad Kroger until I die.
Yeah, look at this photograph. What a gem of a track.
Yeah. Well, he defended Wolverine and Deadpool. You see that little clip of
You could defend
Nickelback defending. He defending the fact that anybody who thinks that the Deadpool movie is crap, coming from a band who everybody thinks is crap.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. So he's got a place to come from to say that.
I was listening to Q with Tom Power, and he was interviewing Chad Kroger, and he was like, "How do you deal with it being in a band that like everybody in the world makes fun of, and are constantly like sort of like shitting on?" And Chad Kroger was like, "Yeah, it really hurts, but then I stopped caring about 30 million records ago." And I was like,
Exactly.
I was like, oh, you can't argue with that, man. You really can't.
I cry in my Lambo every night. You know, like, it's like, yeah.
Years away with stacks of $100 bills.
Exactly.
His Warhammer collection must be
Huge.
massive.
Stacked.
Yeah.
So handsome. Have you seen him?
So handsome.
It's true. He got more handsome as he started playing Warhammer. It's a very good point. I mean, very handsome people play Warhammer. I should get into it.
You really should. Yeah.
So, guys, we ask the same question to every guest, and we'd love to have each of your takes on it. What decade of music is better, the 80s or the 90s?
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go with the 80s because controversial opinion. I think every snare drum recorded in the 90s sounds like fucking ass. They were all like boink, boink. 80s drums, cool as hell. Gated reverb. Yeah.
I am also going to defend the 80s. I prefer synthy, corny pop music to post-grunge by a lot.
I'm very torn. On the one hand, I agree with everything that these two guys have said, and I think rock music in the 80s is way better than rock music in the 90s, but I also love rap music.
Yes.
So I am going to be the contrarian here and go with the 90s because I love me some boom bap sampled drums, and I love Wu-Tang Clan, and I can't say no to that.
Wu-Tang, man. They get, like, it's funny. People never put them in the top hip-hop artists of all time. Like, they never talk about Wu-Tang, and that whole crew is ridiculous. Like, I'm a big Wu-Tang fan.
Listen, having to hold together a band of 6 people, adding 3 more would be mind-numbing. So props to them for yeah.
And all of us were actually like pretty bland, like well-behaved people who like are probably like pretty easy to corral in comparison.
Practice linguistics.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I just give me some dice.
Yeah. Fair enough. And you're both wearing Green Day shirts, so I was pretty shocked that, you know.
I've decided that they're my new favorite band.
Dog's the 80s guy. I'm the 90s, so that's fair. But I'm not hating on the 80s because I love a lot of it. So
I figured we hear a little bit more like with the progressive rock because they like the synth and stuff. I was figuring that they'd throw out some stuff like from.
Well, they talk about emo and stuff.
I know,
like
but
that.
like going back to like 60s, 70s, like ELP and
there are two
King
of
Crimson
us.
and stuff.
There are 2 people in the band. Myself. Would you consider yourself a prog fan? Not really. It's me and it's Nick, the sax player. We both like Rush. Everyone else hates Rush.
I fucking hate Rush.
Jonas hates Rush.
Oh no.
Rush was part of my upbringing, and I can't deny it. And also,
it's funny. It goes either way. It's either like one or the other, right?
Yeah, you like it or you don't. Like I
don't.
I also
Dog
like a bunch
does.
of that like 70s prog stuff. Like you were talking about.
Mhm.
But it's an influence that like is checked by some of the other guys.
Nice.
I mean, Neil Peart is a pretty good drummer. We have to say that.
Oh, he's no Copeland, but you know. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
I like both. Both are good.
I
Very
will give Neil
diplomatic.
Peart that he is an incredible drummer. I just
It's the voice.
was. Yeah, I forgot he died. God rest his
It's-
soul. I just cannot fucking stand Geddy Lee. It's like, it's like fucking cheese grater against my brain every time I hear him sing.
That's fair. No, I'm with you. I mean, I'm very much the same with Rush. I think they're very talented musically, but the voice, I can't get over it.
Same.
What's up for the summer? What's the next gig, and what are you guys up to this summer?
Got a couple of shows coming up. Next weekend, we are in Petawawa and Sudbury. We're at the What's the festival in Petawawa?
So we're at the Townhouse Tavern in Sudbury on Friday, August 9th, and then Saturday, August 10th, we're at the Petawawa Water and Dirt Festival. I believe I think it's like a mountain biking and kayaking kind of outdoorsy festival
Ooh,
for
Nice.
the entertainment.
nice.
Why don't they just call it the Mud Festival?
I'm not entirely sure they didn't just pick us based on the name because it fits the festival, but
Sure does, yeah.
There you go.
It's so much cooler to call this festival the Water and Dirt Festival than it is the Mud Festival. I think like
Yeah, very true. Yeah, good point.
And we're playing in Market Square in Kingston for the first time, which would be pretty sweet, on August 23rd with Miss Emily and Evan Rotella. And that is a fundraiser. It's a pre-show, and it's for the Kingston Humane Society, which is where I got this little puppy, Brambles. And then on September 20th, we're playing at Frank Turner's festival in Toronto at the Lost Evenings Festival, which is crazy because he booked us because he's a fan of the band, and I am one of his biggest fans. So
How cool is that?
I saw
Very,
I saw
very
him
fun.
in Montreal. Just like my niece is a massive Frank Turner fan. I wasn't quite into his music, but I definitely know who he is, and he put on an amazing show. So that'll be a great event for you guys.
I'm really pumped for that one.
There's some. I looked at the talent that's going to be there for those days, and there's some serious talent playing there, yourselves included.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
some
it's-
heavy hitters there for sure.
Yeah, like Henry Rollins. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
right?
Yeah, that'd be cool if you could meet him. That'd be really
Oh,
a trip.
I hope
right?
so.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time today. We know you're busy, so this is great to speak with you. And
Thank you for having us.
Look forward to following you along and seeing what goes next. And when you come to Ottawa, let us know. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
thank you.
Cheers.
thanks for having us.
Dog and Gus, Dog and Gus, Dog and Gus.